Good afternoon. Welcome to the Cedarfield Residents Council meeting. We're delighted to meet together once again with a simple majority of the members present and others watching on TV. As we have not met since February, we have a great deal to cover. We placed an agenda in the mailroom so that any resident who would like to listen can follow. Our format will be a little different today due to the space limitations. Some committee chairs and some area representatives have elected to have their report read by an officer. Other reports will be given in person. We usually have questions as the different committees and area representatives give their reports. Since all of you are not present, let me know what your questions are, and we will address them at the next council meeting. Any resident also who has a question, please send them to me by email or in writing to my mailbox, and we will address those also. Now I call on Jean Harrell, Chair of the Religious Life Committee, to give us the invocation.
Let us pray. Dear God, we are indeed grateful to finally be able to meet as a Residents' Council after dealing with the coronavirus for 4 months. We thank you for guiding us and watching over us during this pandemic. We are grateful for the care that we've received from the leadership team to keep us safe and are pleased to have no COVID-19 currently. We ask your blessings on Carol Marco and the officers, chairmen, area representatives, and this group as we go forward. We have a long way to get back to the normal, quote, normal, unquote, time at Cedarfield. Bless our residents, team members, administration, and construction workers as we patiently work together to get back to normal.
I now call on Rose Struder, our secretary, to read to you the minutes of our last meeting, which was in February.
I move that we go by the items.
Dispense with them. I have a motion to, do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. It's been approved that we will dispense with the meeting, with the reading of the minutes. All right, now let's go to our administration reports. Our executive director, Michael Shaw.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Those of you that are watching live from the cottages or apartments, we appreciate you tuning in. We are actually recording this meeting, and so it will be posted on our Touchtown website later this evening. First of all, I just want to thank the residents of Cedarfield. The executive team and I are overwhelmed by the unquestionable strength and the character of this community. Like many organizations on the front lines of this COVID-19 pandemic, we are absolutely encouraged by the outpouring of support that the team members have received. The messages of gratitude, the acts of generosity, and the words of encouragement are unbelievable and very powerful affirmations for our team. For this positive energy, I believe, has a direct result, a direct correlation in the excellence of resident care delivery. The Cedarfield team every single team member needs this affirmation as we continue to battle this COVID-19 pandemic in what we now know will be a longer-term fight. And I also want to thank the residents. Your patience, your understanding, and your adaptability over these last 5 months has been unbelievable. I tell my colleagues around the country about your resolve and comporting to our 3 phased plans, and we have forwarded our Cedarfield plan to many retirement communities around the country, and as an example of what the residents are adapting to. Secondly, this is a minor thing, but I think a nice ad for many of the current residents and new residents. Renee Langley has been working hard at this map. If any resident would like this color, it's really expensive to print out these maps in this color format. Renee has spent the better part of the last month putting this map together. So if any resident wishes to have this map, it's an updated version from I think about 2 years ago. We have these available in the administration suite. Thirdly, just wanted to talk about the master planned expansion, an update on the D-Wing expansion. We now have a cost estimate and a time frame for the renovation of those 8 apartments that were affected and the garage. We are looking at a early October of opening up the 2nd and the 3rd floor. The 4th floor was relatively untouched. The fire marshal just gave us yesterday clearance to move people in on the 4th floor. So we are finishing some minor things up on that 4th floor and hope to move residents in on the 4th floor of D-Wing, probably in that 1st or 2nd week of August. So a couple of residents are already here that live on the 4th floor, so we will start to work with them in transferring over to the D-Wing. The household part of our master plan expansion, our general contractor, Howard Shockey, submitted an updated schedule on Friday of last week. They also used a forensic project manager to look at every line item within that project plan. So they, at this point, feel very confident that the building will go through a substantial completion by the end of December. And after that, our design team will get in there and install the furniture and art fixtures, etc. So we should probably take occupancy of those 2 floors probably by the end of January. I just want to thank all the residents and team members and those that are listening to this resident council meeting on the video, family members, in addition, across really the globe that have committed funding to our Heroes campaign. It has just been very heartwarming to receive not only funding for this campaign, but the letters that go along with their contributions has just been extraordinary. To date, you have raised almost $10,000 at Cedarfield, designated just to stay at Cedarfield, with a couple of weeks to go. So thank you to, again, residents, team members, and families here locally and around the world. Next item for me, I just have 2 more items. I am so proud to announce that in September of 21 will be our 25th anniversary. And And so many team members and residents have been meeting for the last several weeks to start planning for a 25th anniversary celebration. And what this group of residents and team members have decided is to have a year-long celebration. We need reasons to celebrate. And so starting in September, we will have a month. There'll be a theme to every month from this September through the following, and we will have a grand celebration to highlight our 25th anniversary. So more details about that coming soon, but I did want to make that announcement. Last item for me is, seems to be the hot topic around the campus, is team member retention. So I just want to address that real briefly. Real easy equation. You must have team members and residents to have a very successful continuing care retirement community. And I and we, the folks on the executive team, treat every blessed resident engagement sacredly to really help form community. And likewise, we treat employment as a blessed gift and an honor that someone chooses to work at Cedarfield, whether they're here 1 week, 5, 10, 15, or 20 years. Every team member is treated with the following characteristics in mind between Matt and I and HR and the rest of the executive team. We treat people fairly. We treat people consistently. We put competency plans in place to help people if they kind of go awry. There's a layered approach in making sure that there's double checks in place to make sure that things are consistent and fair. But above all, those of you that know me best, part of the core of who I am is a man of faith. With that comes integrity, and everything that we do in employment decisions, whether somebody leaves voluntarily, involuntarily, are treated with the highest level of integrity. And I can look every resident and every team member in the eye about that. Cedarfield employs about 320 team members. Currently, we have an 89% retention rate this year. Historically, we have a track record on an annual average of about 70 to 75%, which is a great number given nursing homes, assisted livings, and other continuing care retirement communities. I bring this topic up because there's been some concern with residents about some sudden departures of team members in the wellness and leisure area. Make no mistake about what I'm about to say. Our mission is to build true community. I define true community as people bonded together by genuine affection and concern for one another. We do our best to hire competent people. You get to know them, they get to know you, and then true community emerges over time. So when someone suddenly leaves our employment, absent all the facts of a situation, there is a lot of emotion around that topic. People retire, people leave voluntarily, people leave involuntarily, some people are promoted, some people transfer from community to community. And I bring this up just to point out that if any resident doesn't know the heart and the intellect of the administration office or the executive team, if you haven't come and talked to the executive team about how we make decisions, I invite residents to call the administration office. Renee would gladly set up a lunch with you so that we can talk about how administration makes decisions at Cedarfield in concert with team members. So fairness, consistency, and with the highest level of integrity that you could possibly imagine. So that is my report. Does anybody have any?
Our Associate Executive Director, Matt Dameron.
And there go my glasses. Sorry. Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be here with you this afternoon to give you some updates from the Wellness and Leisure portion of the building and the neighborhoods over in the licensed section of our building. So, first, I want to start with Wellness and Leisure. And talk a little bit about our new Director of Wellness and Leisure. Her name is Rebecca Merritt. A memo went out to you all with a little bit of personal background information about her. And I just wanted to give you, it's kind of an onboarding tour that we kind of do here, a little bit more information about her, her education and work background. So Rebecca is very well credentialed. She has a Bachelor of Science from Virginia Tech. I have issues with Virginia Tech, but that's okay. Bachelor of Science from Virginia Tech. She has a Master of Science in Gerontology from Virginia Commonwealth University, a PhD in Adult Education from VCU. She is also a licensed nursing home administrator within the Commonwealth of Virginia and a certified dementia practitioner. So she is a lifelong student, as she likes to describe herself, and she has been working in the field of senior living for roughly 20 years. And the vast majority of her career has been spent in the wellness and leisure arena. So she started out as a director of recreational activities and volunteer coordinator at the Alpha House, which is similar to our Sunshine Plaza kind of memory support community. She was there for a little over 2 years. She spent over 7 years as the director of recreational activities at Elizabeth Crump Manor, and that's also where she conducted her administrator in training program, where she later sat for her exam to become a licensed nursing home administrator. After that, she even told us in her interview, she took a brief stint as an administrator and was not a big fan. She said she was the assisted living administrator at Beth Shalom for a little over a year, and she just knew that was not where her heart was, that programming and wellness and leisure is where she wanted to be. So she then spent 7 years at Our Lady of Hope as the Director of Life Enrichment, and she has spent the last 2 years as the Director of Activities at Manor Care Imperial. So she has a wide array of experience and educational background, so we were very excited to have her. During that interview process, Michael and I interviewed all the candidates, then we brought them back for a second interview, which was 3 parts. It was with the Wellness and Leisure team themselves, a group of residents, and members from our leadership team. So it was quite a bit of vetting for Miss Merritt. So we were very happy to have her. I spoke with her at length yesterday when she came to visit about wellness and leisure and our program here, and she is very excited to get started. She will begin this upcoming Monday, July 27th, and she'll spend the first week a little bit more going through departmental orientation with all of our directors and our general orientation that's conducted Pinnacle Living wide. And then she will spend quite a few weeks with me after that, meeting with all of our wellness and leisure folks, all of our committees and committees chairs that relate to wellness and leisure. So it's going to be a good onboarding process. So I'm sure you will meet her very, very soon. Take just a minute to talk about the organizational structure of wellness and leisure. We do have these organizational charts that you're more than, I think we have them in the administration suite, that you're more than welcome to come and take a look at if you want to know exactly who reports to whom throughout Cedarfield. And what we're doing with the Wellness and Leisure Department, I'll try not to bore you too much, but give you a brief overview of how things are structured or going to be structured with Rebecca here now. So the Wellness and Leisure Director will have 4 direct reports. One of those will be the Administrative Assistant, which is Lori Reed. And then Ann Hopper in our clinic. She is the Resident Care Coordinator. And everything that falls under Ann is the clinic, helping hands, and also the social workers, the independent living social workers, which we are in the process of hiring 2 full-time social workers there. Anne has narrowed it down and is going to be interviewing this week and next week. We also have ancillary services, which is Amanda, which includes our concierge, Eddie, in the back, and also our transportation department. And then we're going to have a Pathways to Wellness manager. That will be the 4th person reporting to Rebecca, and everything under that umbrella would be fitness, aquatics, creative arts, volunteers, things of that nature. So all of that Pathways to Wellness programming will be kind of funneled through that person. And I'm more than happy to kind of break it down with you and go over the chart if you want to give me a call later too. Switching gears real quick to the neighborhoods. As all of us, we have been immersed in COVID-19 for quite a few months now, and I just wanted to give you a few updates on what's been happening the last couple of weeks. We still have a tremendous amount of infection control procedures in place. Connie McGowan, our infection control nurse, is absolutely amazing and has been doing an incredible amount for us. And I was actually meeting with her right before this meeting to discuss some of the testing results. So we conducted a point prevalence survey back on Thursday, July 9th, where the National Guard came to do testing of all of our residents, team members, private duty personnel, contract workers, things of that nature in the licensed portion of the building. So Sunshine Plaza, assisted living, and healthcare. Roughly, actually the exact number was 285 people were tested that day. The Virginia Department of Health decided to use the UVA lab for that particular testing because their downtown lab had been backed up for quite some time. So we have had a very, very difficult time getting the results from that PPS. I have learned, Michael doesn't even know this, as of 1:30 today, we have received all of the results from the PPS 2 weeks ago, which is kind of crazy, to be honest with you. So they have had a very difficult time with the demand of the amount of testing that's being done now, the strain on these labs and the people that work there. So we did receive 100% of those results as of 1:30 this afternoon, and all of those results came back negative from that test. Yes. However,
Celebrate one step at a time.
yes, I appreciate that, and I thank you for that. 1 week later, which was the 16th of July, we did another test. A lot of this has to go along with, I think you might have heard me talk about it on Michael's 3 o'clock chat last week. We're trying to go along with the guidance from the Virginia Department of Health about reopening, and I'm talking about that portion of the building right now. And there's a lot of check boxes that you have to go down through in order to get to that point. So a point prevalence survey was one. There's about 15. Another one was testing those exact same people 1 week later. We have a contract with GenetWorks. It's a lab that's right out here in Innsbruck. And we, meaning our clinical leaders, all of our nurses here, helped conduct the test last Thursday, the 16th, for those same 285 people. There was a few more just because we've had a couple of additional people come over there. We have 85% of those results back, so not all of them yet, and we do have 2 positive cases from that testing. One is a team member that's in Sunshine Plaza, a nurse in Sunshine Plaza. Another is a therapist from HealthPro Heritage. So those 2 people are completely asymptomatic, meaning they have no symptoms whatsoever. We immediately, upon getting the results, asked them to leave, and that we would get back to them with more information. We retested those individuals and are awaiting the test results from that right now. The good thing, if there is a silver lining to this, is Michael and I spent quite a bit of time on the phone the other day. And by the other day, it's only Wednesday. Monday. Monday, we found out about the Sunshine Plaza team member. We found out about the therapist late yesterday afternoon. The good thing about this is, based on all of our consultants and the guidance put forth by the CDC, if a person is asymptomatic and they have tested positive, they have no symptoms, but they are wearing any type of face covering whatsoever. It doesn't have to be an N95 mask, it could be a cloth mask, something over their face. If they are wearing that at all times, and they haven't had prolonged exposure with people, and prolonged exposure is now defined as within 6 feet for at least 15 minutes, then you do not need to quarantine staff members. We've learned quite a bit about COVID-19 over, well, not just us, but the nation, the world in general, and that is their guidance right now. Absolutely no one in the licensed portion of the building, any of those people that we tested, resident staff and so on, have any symptoms whatsoever. We are closely monitoring all of our residents, but especially down in Sunshine Plaza and assisted living, because that's where that therapist was solely working, was assisted living. So for the next 2 weeks, we will test those 2 areas. So this Thursday, we will do another test of Sunshine Plaza and assisted living. And then we will do at least 1 more test after that, 1 week later. And if everyone has been negative for 14 days, then we don't test until we have another positive case. So for the next 2 weeks, we will be testing in assisted living in Sunshine Plaza and all the people that work there. Let me just make sure I touched on all those bullet points. Okay, so that is where we are with tests. And very quickly, to touch on our infection control survey or assessment that was done back on the 13th, Monday the 13th of July, where infection control nurses came in to evaluate all of our processes. We have taken their recommendations, albeit very few of them that were recommended. We have taken those. Connie McGowan has again taken charge on that and has already remedied many of those that were on that list and in services and things of that nature. Overall, they were very impressed with what Cedarfield has been doing in relation to COVID-19.
when we have a vacancy, the bylaws state that the council will select their replacements. Our first order of business is to announce the results of the election of an assistant secretary treasurer and the 3 new area representatives for D-Wing. We mailed ballots to all council members. Will the secretary come read the results of the election?
Y'all were very good about getting back the ballots. Oh, excuse me. Getting so used to it. You have elected as the Assistant Secretary Treasurer, Catherine Drum, who's with us today, and she got 27 yes votes and 0 no votes. You have elected as temporary area representatives for the D-Wing, Paul Mason for Area 18. He received 27 yes votes and 0 no votes. You have further elected Selma Graves as temporary rep for Area 19. She received 26 yes votes and 0 no votes. And you have elected Mary Esther Cawthorn as area rep for Area 20, and she received 26 yes votes and 0 no votes.
Let's thank them for agreeing to serve. We will now have the committee reports. First committee is Communications, Jane Kelly.
Masks are hard to wear with hearing aids at the same time. Kudos to Fred Beck, member of our committee, for publishing a great Cedar Digest in trying times, and to the administration for the distribution of new resident pictures so that we can help to welcome new residents and make new friends. And we look forward to receiving the revised pictorial booklet that is in the making. Old business. We will continue to press for new signs. Once the virus is gone, construction is finished, and employee musical chairs is concluded. New business. The following suggestions are made to the administration. Provide all residents with a list of responsibilities of housekeepers now that services are restored. Include a bilingual staff member if presently there is none. Include a site map, maybe the map that Michael mentioned earlier, in the new resident handbook. And this suggestion came from a new resident who got lost. Residents would like to be informed when there is a staff change, such as a resignation or a medical leave. I don't need to know that Pastor Florence is out because she broke her ankle, but I would certainly like to know that Pastor Florence is on medical leave because I love Pastor Florence and I would like to send her a card, which I did, and I know a lot of other members would have liked to do also. Residents appreciate being kept abreast of COVID situation. I have a husband in I can't even think of it, Alzheimer's, I guess I belong with him, down in Sunshine Plaza, and I appreciate the care and concern, and I know Shannon is doing her best. We appreciate being kept abreast of that, but we suggest that like weekly broadcasts be kept to a minimum. Thank you.
Dining services. There's no report, but I want to thank that committee for all the work that they have done in helping us to get the dining room open again. They were very instrumental in that, and that was what they have been working on this past several times. Environmental services, Tom Maxwell will read the report for Vernon Whitaker.
I'll just highlight a couple of things because the report will be included in the minutes from this meeting. Report on a nature trail. The trail continues in pretty good condition but about 35 feet south of the trail, halfway between Blewett Bridge and Little Falls Bridge. There is still a large, rotting, dead tree marked with a yellow ribbon that needs to come down. The trail has a new sign on the east and west entrances. And then a report on the pond trail. The major news is that there's an acquisition of a solar power aeration system that will bring significant benefits to the pond circulation, oxygen levels, thermal stratification, mosquito and other infestations, and environmental protection. Thank you.
Facilities, Chuck Bailey.
Good afternoon. Our committee normally meets every other month to discuss and elicit action on various items of concern to the residents. Due to the virus, the regularly scheduled June meeting was canceled, and in lieu, the following questions by the committee were posed by email on June 21, 2020 to Michael Shaw, John Mock, and Jack Johnson. First item was lack of regular gutter cleaning. There are instances where trees were actually growing in the gutters. 2, installation of gutter guards and appropriate cottages to prevent the leaf buildup. 3, lack of regular preventive maintenance to HVA systems, fireplace servicing, dryer vent cleaning, and power washing of the cottages. And the 4th item was status of the Refresh program. To date, other than the power washing which has started, we have not had a reply to any of these items. The full report will be attached to the Residents' Council meeting. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Finance, Tom Maxwell.
The committee has no report at this time. Pinnacle Living and Cedarfield work on the fiscal year ending May 31st. The numbers for the fiscal year must be audited before they are made available to our committee. Traditionally, our meeting to review the audited results occurs in August. Hopefully this will occur prior to the August Residents' Council meeting. If so, we will submit a report at that time. In addition, normally, copies of the audited report will be available in the library for perusal by any resident who is interested. That's from David Long, who is acting chairman.
Flower Committee, Eldon Rucker will deliver the report for Louisa Rucker.
Thank you very much. Now you can hear me. Since mid-March and the awareness of COVID-19, the Flower Committee members have been on somewhat of a furlough. Now that our community activities are being carefully increased through the various phases, arrangements are being permitted in the town center, on the promenade sideboard, and in the Parkview entrance. The committee has had a couple of underwritten arrangements since resuming the fresh flowers, and hope that additional residents will want to say it with flowers as well. Thank you very much.
Environment Committee, Roger Downing. No report, all right. Health Services Committee, Elvira Skinny.
The Health Services Committee met on July 8th. We had several areas that we talked about. One had to do with pendants, because it was brought to the attention of the committee that the pendants had not been programmed to identify residents, where residents were who used them when they were in the courtyard, the area between Fellowship Hall and the Wellness Building. Matt, who's on the committee, said that there was a part that had been ordered so that it can be updated, and it will be here in a few weeks and be installed by Mark, the IT specialist with Pinnacle Living. And Matt's going to see that the pendants are active throughout the whole campus as well, so there's not one spot missing. Second was a diabetic support group. We've had a number of people who recently have been diagnosed with diabetes, and they need somebody to talk to work with them. And so we're also working, Matt, bless his heart, is working with Karen Wilder, the dietitian, looking at suggestions of ways that we can do this to support one another. And this is not much different than people who have low vision, but it gives some support. What sort of started this all off was the AED update. When the building, the fitness building, was completed, there was talk of, as they were orienting people, there was a discussion that there was no AED present. An AED is bigger, the whole thing is bigger than just one there. So it's been looked at campus-wide, and I'm very pleased to say that 2 new ones have been ordered, one for the fitness building that will be across from the room where we have exercise equipment. Another will be in the healthcare area so that there would be a backup if one had to go to the hospital with a person so that it could be seen, the NEKG could be seen. And the other piece that goes with the AED, and I've already spoken with Ann Hopper about it, has to do with the idea of people who have an AED needs to be known to the rest of us. They need a pendant of some sort, because you can't use an AED on these people because they already have one planted. So Ann and I've talked, and she's going to get that for the independent living people. Also, Ann checks the AED batteries monthly, and Nancy, bless her heart, checked with long-term care regulations, and there are no specific regulations related to the AEDs. So I think we've looked at the broad piece for the campus. There are a total of 6 now. We've had 4, and there are 2 new ones. And matters arising, Barbara asked to look at the activities that are provided in each of the licensed areas. It sounds like we're moving ahead with putting those together, and our new person will be responsible for seeing, it looks like her background, if I heard you correctly, Matt. Thank you.
The Library Committee report will be given by Eldon Rucker for Dolly Hicks.
Thank you. I remember that. The Library Committee met in July, and the chairman welcomed 4 new members. The financial report that was at that meeting noted that funds available for new book purchases were held over because no purchases were made in in a number of months due to COVID-19. The chairman asked that the committee to consider purchasing a computer to replace the somewhat antiquated card catalog system. Research is being done as to the cost of the computer and the availability of a simple program to be user-friendly for all residents. Discussion will be on the agenda for the next meeting in September. Thank you.
The Religious Life Committee, Jean Howe.
The Religious Life Committee is composed of the Altar Guild and the Angel Fund Committee. Excuse me. The Altar Guild does flower arrangements and for the church services and changes the paraments and prepares for communion. The Angel Fund Committee hears requests from one of the chaplains to help an individual in the community who has a need for financial aid. We've had 4 requests since our last Residents' Council meeting in February, and all were approved. The Pastoral Services team has been extremely busy during this coronavirus pandemic. Sunday church services and Monday morning prayer have been streamed on our TVs. A team member offers a spiritual thought to close Michael's chat on Wednesday, followed by a good news, which we all need. A service of remembrance was held in May to remember those who had died 6 months prior. The summer sing-along with Elizabeth Scribner is on Channel 970 Wednesdays at 10 o'clock. There's a prayer line available if you have a need for a prayer or some assistance with the prayer. Christmas in July will be held in this fellowship hall July the 27th from 2:30 to 4. And I've only named a few of the things this committee has done. They have worked tirelessly to keep our chins up, I think. We're fortunate right now to have Annie Van Hook and Kuiper Brown as chaplain interns in the licensed area. Thank you.
Safety Committee, Eldon Rucker will read the report for James May.
Got the button. Thank you very much. The Safety Committee in its recent meeting had several key issues addressed, and I'd like to go through those fairly quickly. Surprise, surprise, they identified a need for more AEDs in areas where people congregate, such as the wellness building, lobby entrances, and dining areas. So it may be that that's being taken care of, or they need to talk further. Secondly, this one's been mentioned already, there's a need to update our campus map and include in the published literature and the website. There's a suggestion for pool buddies when swimming so that we don't have singles swimming alone. And I'd like to add that since that was announced, there have been comments from a number of strong swimmers who would disagree with that. Furthermore, they noted the better lights at the front entrance and found to be very helpful. Speeding continues, but the volume is way down. And walkers are doing very well, but some continue to walk at dawn and dusk, and that's a little more of a problem. Thank you.
The Welcoming Committee, Nancy Beaulieu.
Nellie has taken a bit of the lead in making the gifts for our new residents, for which I am extremely grateful. We've had 2 sessions, thanks to Eldon Rucker and to Carol Marco. We have welcomed about 18 new residents recently. Fortunately, we have been able to use part of the Wellness Center in welcoming them, and we've asked them to reflect on their move-in. It has been interesting to find out the results of their feelings. We are most grateful to Steve in the food service area for his beautiful little packages of fruit and cheese that we give each one as they depart. And we just are so excited that others will be coming along and will give us an opportunity to welcome them as well. My thanks to Eldon and to Carol for all their help. Thank you.
Wellness and Leisure in VACRA, Jim Tromager.
Good afternoon. At our last meeting with Wellness and Leisure, in addition to our traditional going through everything that's going on and what we're planning on doing, 2 items were discussed in a little more detail. One is due to an increase in the involvement, more things happening on campus, such as the food vendors and programs in the courtyard out here. We feel the need for some help in getting out refreshments, handing out water, and seeing that people can get in line for ice cream and hamburgers or whatever happens to be there. So we're inaugurating the Cedarfield Activities Boosters Group, and we will accept anyone that would like to donate a half hour, 45 minutes, when we have something coming up, and spell the committee from a all-day practice. The other issue that came up, there was a lot of concern expressed about the large turnover in Wellness and Leisure with no notice or explanation. This is the perfect environment for rumors and innuendos, and we joined the Communications Committee in requesting more information about staff status. And that was the primary things we covered. Thank you. The Virginia Continuing Care Residents Association has the acronym VACRA, so you will hear that quite frequently around campus. It's an organization of communities like Cedarfield from across the state. It's an educational, advocate, and advocacy group formed to promote the interest of residents by collaborating with private and governmental organizations, distributing information about financial security and quality of life, and fostering understanding of the continuing care concept. As an example, we collaborated successfully with several agencies to keep the health care tax level at 7.5% of gross income this last year, and we will be working to see that it stays the same the next year. Another issue that is coming before the group is in the fundings for COVID. There is an attempt to provide immunity to many organizations, including healthcare facilities, also restaurants, movie theaters, anything, saying if you contract a restaurant because of some inadequacy in that facility, they cannot be sued. This is not a particularly good thing to happen for people like us, and so a large number of organizations is getting together, obviously, to try to lobby and get that changed. Our last meeting of the board occurred on about 2-3 weeks ago, and it was the first one this year. We have not been able to get together, of course, due to the virus that's been going around. Initially, we discussed the actions being taken by various communities. It was an extremely interesting discussion and very informative. As a result of that, we formed a committee that will be putting together a report of what our communities are planning for the next level as we come out of quarantine. That should be ready hopefully pretty soon. The remaining time is devoted to address some organizational issues that the community has, the organization has. A solution was proposed to join with national continuing care associations, as they would provide us some computer assistance and advice on how to address certain organizational issues that we have. This would require members of VACRA, the Virginia Continuing Care Association, to become members of the National Continuing Care Association, but it would provide us some good services. That was passed. There were 4 dissenting votes. I was one of them, and our issue was this is going to increase significantly the cost to residents to belong to either of these. You have to belong to both organizations, so it's going to be a substantial increase. I didn't think that would help us very much in getting members here. And that was all we did. Thank you.
We will now take the area representatives report. Area 1, Marty Rittenhouse.
Good afternoon. Is it on there? Oh, okay. I'll try to keep this short, and one thing I did want to mention was I was concerned about our people not having contact with other human beings during the pandemic, so I started having socials, and we are in a large cul-de-sac, so we could all sit. We brought our own chairs, sat socially distanced, and we're able to get together and see each other face to face. It was a good way to get to know each other, as well as to welcome our new couple, Mary Ann and Bruce Johnson, and everybody really seemed to enjoy it, so that really helped mentally in our cul-de-sac. The rest is responding to a memo from Carol Marco requesting that we talk to our area residents of issues they would like to see addressed or brought to management's attention. I'll just mention them briefly. One was staff absences when they're out for a period of time, such as Florence, that's already been discussed. The amount of housekeeping time that was given to apartments versus cottages, given the difference in size, that we didn't feel that was fair that the cottages got the same amount of time as the apartments. Communication is still an issue, in particular from facilities. You leave messages, they never return phone calls, you don't know what the status of jobs are, and we feel like they need to communicate with us better in response to our phone calls to them. Some are feeling there are too many requests for donations and would like to see that halted a bit. Also, people wanted to know why in the cottages they couldn't have people come in, since we are not attached to the main building. Visitors could come in, children, and never see another soul but the residents in the cottage. And this was after we were allowed to go out to their homes. Why couldn't they come in to see us? One person wanted some plants planted by her nephew. They still haven't been done, and she wouldn't even have contact with them. And the last one was about the new dining arrangement. People are just concerned about how that might work out, and trying to, even if you're up there with somebody that you know, but you have to socially distance, how well communication would be. And that's it.
And 2, Don Mikowski.
Area 2 residents assembled in the clubhouse on July the 7th. We had a good meeting, assisted by the microphone that was kindly provided. It was our first occasion to meet residents, new residents, Wes and Pat Hall, who live in 10,007, and Faith and Andy Cotters, who live in 10,014. There are still 2 cottages unoccupied in Area 2, but we have people coming in August in 10,005, and both of the cottages have been faithfully renewed. One resident expressed concern about drivers using excessive speed. Perhaps she's one of the persons who walks early. She was especially concerned with employees coming to work in the morning and hurrying around the corner where the main road divides off from the circle. This is where the walkway from Area 2 leads into the main building. And visibility at that corner up the hill is short. And of course, the parking lots are back there, so there's a good deal of traffic. Several of the residents would like to see some additional landscaping on both sides of the road that turns off the main drive and leads to the court. A couple of small gardens were suggested. And in fact, I believe Beth Burrell has had some conferences about providing them. Apparently this is a very common concern, so I share it. First mentioned in the report of the Communications Committee that we would like Sharon Brown to provide us with a memo that spells out in detail exactly what the house cleaners are expected to do when they clean for 1.5 hours, and also what they're supposed to do when they only come for 3/4 of an hour. One resident, one other worthwhile point, but that has also been covered, that a request for a new map. I'm going to go to the administration office and pick up new maps for our 2 new resident couples after this meeting. One resident missed having a cold beer at the 4th of July cookout. He's been here 14 years, I don't know why he would say that. And then he revealed his true colors by suggesting that perhaps we need to discuss whether or not to change the name of Cedarfield. No suggestions were provided.
Area 3, Alderman Rucker will give Sally Bingley's report.
Area 3 held 3 meetings to comply with the guidelines within less than 10. And I'll go through some of the highlights of conclusions that they reached in those sessions. The group generally praised dining for the manner in which the takeout has been handled, but feels that the quality of food has slipped over time. In particular, they would like to see more variety in both the entrees and the salads, and perhaps more variety with some of the vegetables. They were all happy with the housekeeping returning to their normal time frame, and power washing, which is starting this week. The James River landscaping, I guess, is not cutting all areas within that have been fenced, and it stopped using the small mowers around the cottages. And they feel like that should be a return to those because the larger one that they were using was really tearing up some of the turf. Maintenance is a big issue, they say, and needs a lot of attention. In particular, some of the key issues, and it's been mentioned already, the gutters, cleaning, preventive maintenance to the HVAC systems, the interior dryers, fireplaces go along with that. So I think some of that's picked up, but maybe I think there's a concern that the maintenance team admittedly has been functioning a lot with the COVID, and hopefully we're seeing some return to their duties. The last one, some of the residents would support that the time used in the weekly TV update be reduced and focused a little further. And in some cases, they felt that questions that were sent based on that were not completely answered. Thank you.
Area 4, Nancy Hoffman.
Good afternoon. The residents of Area 4 have 3 issues that they are asking council to support. The most critical issue is concern for speeding vehicles, which has been mentioned a couple times so far, especially on the lane. They are dangerous to pedestrians and all vehicles. The posted speed limit of 14.5 miles per hour is charming, but totally ignored. In fact, my brother-in-law said when he first came in here, he said, "Is that a joke?" There are also blind spots on the lane that makes it hard to see any vehicles until they're upon the walker. During the week, we can't see or hear outside due to the James River landscape activities. So we can't see and then we can't hear to anticipate someone coming around those blind spots. For our safety, speed bumps were in place previously and should also be considered along with sidewalks, which have been discussed in the past. The second issue is our continuing request for a pictorial directory. The directory is a tool to learn names and faces and also promotion of social interaction. We think it's very important that we have those, and that's been mentioned by others as well. The third issue is the diminishing quality and selection of the takeout menus. Appetizer choice of banana or orange gets a bit old after 5 months. On the sunny side, Area 4 was so thrilled to have our housekeeping services back full-time, and the dining room opened, and I can say the dining room service and food is exceptional, very special. And finally, Area 4 would like to say that the Cedarfield staff are to be commended for their continuing service to the residents. Thank you.
Area 5, Barbara Rose.
Good afternoon. Area 5, after our wonderful President Carroll sent out a note and suggested we all meet, had a wonderful one meeting and then phone calls to everyone else. And I have submitted a report, but I'll just highlight a few things. The first one that came up at the meeting was the status of the resident pictorial directory. and as a big aid for remembering names when you've met people. Another issue that came up was, is management taking privacy with regard to personnel and health matters a bit too far? Some people have said that in their business experience, they got a little more information, and especially with people who have health issues and are gone, and where the residents would like to write notes, and aren't there ways to facilitate that without interfering with people's privacy? The potholes in the parkway near the guardhouse came up. Several folks questioned why our fees rose by almost 3% this year when we were not getting a lot of the services that we used to get. One resident was told that the budget would be zero-based, and his experience in business said operationally there are fewer contract services being received, so how could there have been a 3% increase? We've had a few copperheads down the lane, and I think the important thing that people asked was, could there be education or reminders about what to do when you cite it? The response from the staff has been wonderful, quick, and very helpful. It's just that some people may not know exactly who to contact. We had a great discussion on power washing, which I might add has started, at least on the lane, and I will say from my own house, they did an exceptional job. I think it's better than any of the other times while we've lived here. But I learned a lot. The power wash has 2 steps. The first step is a cleaner with Clorox in it that if it's not washed off of your house all the way, later it rains and it can coat down and kill some plants. The second step is the water. And then we got a good warning about make sure you know about your windows and doors, some of which might leak a little, so be ready to take care of that with a few towels. And I must say that I know at least 3 people that have experienced that, but when you know about it, so it might be a good, helpful hint next time for people to know about that. And then on employees, it was mentioned that it would be, even though we had COVID, that perhaps it slipped through the cracks of introducing new employees and then recognition of those leaving. And similarly, if there could be announcements about restructuring with promotions and new positions, it might be helpful. With respect to financial reports with Pinnacle Living, it was requested that, it was noted that we used to get a summary sheet, and it wasn't always at the end of the audit, comparing the budgets of all the Pinnacle facilities, and then there'd be a note that, you know, this might not be audited, but we haven't gotten that, so we would certainly appreciate something like that happening. Of course, everyone's happy to have dining 1 day a week, and we're just awaiting more dining, and I agree with Nancy. The food up there has been great, and the service has been fantastic. Some folks would like to see the Atrium Cafe open, and there was a request for more information about healthcare and Sunshine Plaza. Maybe we could meet the leaders and hear about like a typical day, present overviews of those areas, and including staffing positions and activities and dietitian matters. And we had a transportation issue, and it still exists as of at least last night. A few people in the cottages may not drive anymore, and if they go up to dinner at night, they don't have any transportation, so we're hoping that something can be done about that. And especially on weekends, that's an issue. And a question arose on the use of the new parking spaces at the main entrance, and it appears to some anyway that they're being used as permanent spots for full-time parking. So when you come up for meetings or more, it's in the evening, that there's no place for the cottages to park. And lastly, and this has already been mentioned, cottages would really love to have their family members visit their cottages, since all they would be doing is getting out of the car and going into the cottage. And there was also gratitude for all the staff has done and all that you see with the takeout service, and they've just been terrific. Thank you.
Area 6, Jacqueline Chaplin.
Good afternoon. Area 6 met in the hub on the 29th of June, and we had a nice turnout. We would appreciate the stop sign being returned to the intersection of Wickford and the roundabout. Longtime residents are aware of the dangers at that intersection. To preclude new residents not understanding why some of us are stopping anyway, and to avoid being rear-ended, the sign needs to be returned, as it is a safety hazard without it. Though this is not my area, I am sharing that upon entering the outside door at B Wing, the carpet has become unglued and it presents a tripping hazard. Not to belabor the point, but the residents are extremely concerned about the departures of team members at Cedarfield. We are not finding out about their departures from management, but through the rumor mill. Over the years, residents and team members have developed a close relationship, and we and they deserve to have their departure acknowledged. In the interest of true transparency, we request that when someone leaves, that we are informed of their departure, with a caveat of us not needing to contact management due to HR and HIPAA regulations. There also was an incident in C Wing with someone smoking, and to preclude that issue occurring again, we would like to have implemented a no smoking environment 15 feet from the entrances of any of the doors at Cedarfield. Thank you.
Area 7, Tammy Bryant.
Just as the lockdown started, we lost a resident, not from COVID, and we've lost another resident in our area, also not from COVID. We have 3 new residents that are moving in. We're excited about that. Main concern with us was also the loss of respected staff members, and just the fact that they were no longer here and nobody knew why, which adds to the rumor mill, which is not good. We feel like that it would be better to know a little something just than the fact that they're no longer there. And also, I know we understand about HIPAA, but it is, again, with the rumor mill, no, you can't stop, you can't come in. We all wonder, do they have COVID? What happened? It'd be nice just to know a little bit more, so that we're not all standing around or so that was our concern.
Area 8, Sylvia Fine.
Tell you there's no place like home. I've been away 4 months, and there's no place like home. Happy to be back. And sadly, since our last time together, we have lost 2 residents as well. Mr. Cox and our dear friend Marion Schwartz, and they will be missed. Tom Simmons has been ill and in the hospital and is now back in healthcare, as is his wife Betty. And if you know Tom, you must know he would like to hear from everybody. So please give him a call. His number is on the app in the residence listing, or I'd be happy to give it to anybody. Our area is a very tight-knit group, and I can only echo the sentiments of others who've given reports to say that, yes, we are so proud of our administration and what they've done to keep us all safe. Number one, everyone has enjoyed the food, but also says it's kind of declining. I don't have more specifics. I ate in the dining room on Monday night, and I can tell you it was outstanding and kind of fun. So we'll all keep up the good work, and I'm happy to see everybody out there.
None. Charlotte Bailey.
Good afternoon. Area 9 would like Carol and everyone to know that we checked on our residents several times, either in person or by telephone over the last several months. Everyone was okay, which was great. We are very saddened by the recent passing of our friend Lee Jones. She was a member of the Area 9 family, and she will be greatly, greatly missed. These are some suggestions and concerns that Carol asked us to get from the residents. We had several residents to respond to the request, and we have 8 very important, we think, suggestions and concerns. The first is, please open the atrium. We're sure there are some ways that we can do this so we can be safe. For instance, taking an order by telephone and telling someone to come down and pick it up at a specific time so there won't be a gathering. Still no seating in the atrium, which is great. No exchange of money. So perhaps it would be possible, we hope so. A resident feels that with the addition of the Heroes and Scholarship fundraising, that it's asking a lot of the residents to make contributions to all of these requests. A resident would like to have 1 assigned parking space for each apartment. Parking is a problem. One resident would like to know, what's the status of the 10-year apartment refresh? Another concern, an overview of 5 capital plan and selected expansion capital project estimates. In the health center, the new independent living addition, the wellness center, the dining and physical therapy, and 5-year capital estimate is approximately $44.5 million out of $66.7 million. What is the other approximately $22 million for? Supposedly, furnishings, etc., will increase costs to approximately $85 million. Presently, there's an artificial lighting pollution problem from the dining area on the court path, the fire truck easement, and wellness center. What can be done to reduce nighttime lighting in these areas? Another resident would like to have a dining room back, or other options. The present delivery option is take it or lose it. Could there not be another option? And if that is not available, could independent living residents have a reduction in the monthly fee? Lastly, we have a rat problem. Big time, a rat problem. It's been seen, they've been seen around and near bird feeders and possibly other areas. It's being addressed by maintenance, but that's not taken care of. They've only caught 2 or 3 rats in those traps, and as many as 8 have been seen at one time. They appear to go through the bushes and the high grasses between C and D building. Now, did they just come from D, or did the bird seed attract them? We don't know. Is this a problem in other parts of the campus? This is a very important matter to be dealt with. The traps are not working. I saw a rat this morning. I saw one yesterday morning. I saw one the previous morning. A resident called me last night and said a rat scurried across the sidewalk as she was trying to enter the building. Bad news. Another resident has said he saw one that was as big as a small cat near a bird feeder. More aggressive action needs to be taken, and needs to be taken quickly to solve this problem. Is it possible to have professional exterminators to come in and take care of this problem? It'll only get worse if we don't take care of it immediately. I think probably that's it. That's enough, right? Thank you.
Area 10, Fred Beck.
I won't repeat some of the things that have already been said. We queried our members in Area 10 by the tried and true method of slipping half sheets of paper underneath their doors to solicit commentary, and there was the usual amount of discussion about the gradual opening of the dining facilities. Those people living a solitary existence in the house are especially concerned that they have to report there alone and keep a certain distance between themselves and other diners, even though they would like to have a conversation. The biggest issue that we have heard over the last several months from at least 2 of the residents is the concern about the perceived understaffing or shortages of professional staff within the healthcare facilities in the house. This led to the proposal of a question that is usually given in the courses on how you successfully run a conference. That is, you pose an overhead question, and that would come in this manner. Is there a desired or optimal level or ratio of staffing between professional staff, that is CNAs and LPNs, as compared with the number of patients? So once you know the answer to that, what the CDC or the state and health authorities indicate. The question then becomes, how well is Cedarfield living up to these standards, or such a standard? So that seems to be our main issue at this point. There's another minor issue with the connectivity of the Cedarfield Wi-Fi connection or service within the house that does not seem to function very well in at least one of the apartments. This may be resolvable at the local level, but none of us have been able to give any advice to the person affected. So that is the extent of our bill of particulars this month. Thank you so much.
11, Betty Swanson.
Since March, when isolation started at Cedarfield, our area has actually become a closer community. It started with what we call the 130 wave. Everyone was to look out their door and wave to their neighbors up and down the hallway. However, that soon morphed into a masked, socially distant gathering in our common area that overlooks the first floor fireplace. Although we usually have like 8 to 10 people, but almost everybody has come at some time or another. We have welcomed 4 new residents at these parties. We have Carla Oliver, Paul and Sally Winslow, Cynthia Seal. Cynthia is with us until her apartment on the D wing is ready, but she's a delight and we love getting to know her. We've also celebrated anniversaries and birthdays, and of course we've shared the latest news. On the second day that the dining room was open, our area reps and the ambassador had dinner with all 4 of our new residents, and it was a delightful time, and we could yell at each other. It was fun. The food was excellent. So the 130 wave continues every day. And today, as I was coming to this meeting, there were 4 or 5 people out there, and they had a request, and it is a ditto from Area 9. They would like to see the Atrium Cafe opened with a call out and a pickup, carry out, call in, carry out, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. First they said they really wanted breakfast, and someone said, no, we want hamburgers too. What do you want? So I think that maybe that will be happening. Hope so. Thank you.
Area 12, Catherine Drum will give Pat Onberg's report.
I'm sharing Pat Onberg's minutes for Area 12, and they consist entirely of comments. Here she begins. My wonderful neighbors had numerous and far-ranging concerns. When will those without cars be allowed to leave without calling the office? Isn't there a better way for residents who live alone to eat rather than sitting alone in the dining room? I recently saw 2 men in the hall with masks not covering their noses and mouths. Pointless and irresponsible. Is it possible to have coffee and tea service returned? I am concerned about the Heroes Fund. The staff may well deserve it, but we gave up things that were part of what we pay for, 3.5 months of housekeeping, laundry, swimming pool, a decent menu, exercise room, and so forth. And at the same time got an increase in our monthly fee. My real concern is how much will this take away from the Christmas fund that is not tax deductible? Who is the leadership team that will decide the best way to show our appreciation? Are residents involved? I think this is wrong and do not intend to participate. We need to find a safe way to allow limited numbers of residents to play cards and games. Very important to some of us. Why has the supply drop-off at Park and Ride been discontinued when families are still not allowed to come on premises to bring items to residents? Wish dining could improve the quality of takeout food. And now, a happy one. The courtyard activities have been great. I look forward to having family and friends visit when we open up, but I see already there is parking only for residents. This is a grand place. The food and service are exceptional. Can't we improve the parking? I would like to host family and friends and show off Cedarfield, but there's not enough place to park.
Area 13, Camp Road. No report. Area 14, Linda Meiser. No report. Area 15, Jane Lyon. Catherine will also give that one.
Okay, this is the area report by Jane Lyon. One suggestion was that we. Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
What suggestion was it?
It was on.
Huh?
Pull it toward you.
Is it okay?
Pull it toward
Pull
you.
the mic toward you. There you go.
One suggestion was that we have visitor parking spaces out front only and require all visitors to enter from there and check in with the concierge. This would ensure that we would always know who was on campus or in the buildings and their whereabouts. Another suggestion was that we have a discussion on the change in billing as stated in the business office letter of May 26. The result of this change, paying your bill by the 5th rather than the 10th, impacts those who have accounts with Chesapeake Bank, in that they lose 5 days interest on their accounts. There were also comments that the residents should be compensated for the hours lost to temporary relocation of the housekeeping personnel to assisted living. A further suggestion, permit family members to visit in independent living apartments with all mission and shared values principles in place. And please upgrade the takeout menu.
Area 16, Eldon Rucker will give.
This is very short. The Ropers report that they have routinely called each apartment to check how they are doing, and they've all responded very positively. Area 16 has one new resident and also one temporary resident, the Dominiques, who are waiting their place in the D wing.
Area 17, Nancy Boyers will be given by Catherine.
Area 17 has a new neighbor. She is Laura Lennox and is apartment 466. Also, David and Susan Reynolds have moved into apartment 461 while their apartment is being readied in the D building. We welcome them in this strange time. Hope we can have gatherings soon.
Area 18, Paul Mason.
Since 18 is in D-Wing, we have nobody. We have 2 residents who are supposed to move there who are currently residing in temporary places until then. The telephone number that is listed at front desk is not valid for either of those folks, so I don't know how you get a hold of them.
Area 19, Selma Graves.
I have no report. Looking forward to some new residents coming in.
Thank you. Area 20, Mary Esther Castle.
I don't live in Area 20. Is this on?
Get close to it.
Okay. This one?
You just turn it off. Speak.
Thank you. I don't live in this area. I'm representing these people temporarily until enough people come into the area on 4th floor, and then they can elect their own area representative. Cynthia Seal was scheduled to move to apartment 490 on June 15. Phyllis and Bill Dominic were to move to apartment 484 on July 1st in the new building. And due to noise that would be created below them as water damaged areas are repaired, marketing moved them into temporary apartments. They've been very understanding about having to move twice, and I have enjoyed meeting them.
Area 21, Jan Leeton has no report. Is there any old business? Being none, we'll go to new business. And new business, we have Jan Steele and Beth Burrow, who will introduce to us the 10th dimension of wellness and fitness.
Is the mic on or off? It's on. Okay. Musical mic. Well, good afternoon, everyone, here and watching. Myself and Jan Steele are just so excited to welcome you and introduce you to our newest, our 10th dimension, Cultivate. Cultivate, and Jan will give you a little background information, but last year I was very excited when Michael and I met, and he discussed the idea that it was very important to him to bring in a new dimension that would encompass our garden, our environment, our natural world here at Cedarfield. And Cultivate does just that. I was asked to partner with a resident to help come up with a name for our dimension, a mission statement, goals, and opportunities as we move forward over time. Cultivate is a wonderful venue, and we're able to partner with all the other wellness and other entities here at Cedarfield, which is so important. We have partnered with Pastoral Services, Creative Arts, the Creative Corner. We've partnered with the Flower Committee, the Environmental Committee. And it's not just, Cultivate just doesn't encompass independent. It reaches out to assisted living and memory care as well. Jan, would you like to take it?
Hi, everybody. Beth and I make a good team because she has the depth of knowledge in horticulture, and I have a broader knowledge from a lifetime of trying to learn about the natural world, including training as a master naturalist. So we have worked really well together on this project. And you might wonder how we came up with Cultivate for the name. Well, because it has so many more meanings than just gardening. That's one, of course, but it means being good land stewards and learning new things, like how to arrange flowers or how to identify a bird by its song. It means following your passions, whatever they are, nourishing friendships and community, promoting physical, mental, and spiritual well-being, and feeding the mind, body, and soul. And the mission statement reflects that, and the mission is using the gardens as a portal to immerse the whole Cedarfield community in the natural world and to protect it and all of its inhabitants. Beth is going to tell you about some of the opportunities along this pathway.
So we feel very strong that we recognize this as a Cedarfield person-centered approach to care, where we can strengthen that community by connecting individuals to the gardens and their natural surroundings. We have many opportunities that have already come to fruition, as well as some that are in progress, and others that we hope to implement going well into the future. It's a wonderful opportunity for the list, and I am a lister from way back, and anytime I get an idea or someone brings something to me, and I am always open to those wonderful ideas where we can partner with one another here at Cedarfield. Currently, we are very excited that our resident gardens are getting close to being finished. It's been a bit of a wait, as with all things construction related. If you have not had a chance, and I know that the heat and humidity we're having right now isn't the biggest aha moment to get outside right now, but please, when you do get the chance, walk up and look at our new resident gardens and our garden house. I'm very excited, and it's quite the sight to see. It's exciting, it looks fantastic, and we also have a community herb garden that is added to that area up there as well. Moving forward, as we've talked about, I want to continue increasing our birding opportunities here at Cedarfield. It's great, a lot of residents already have feeders out to attract any number of bird life. As you saw this year, I've started putting up bird houses in different areas. We've attracted bluebirds and other things, and a future goal is to have a martin house over at our pond that will bring in, and we know our martins are good for mosquito control, so I say yes to the martins. Come on in. Our volunteer opportunities continue to increase. There are opportunities with not only the garden committee, the flower committee, our environmental committee, and Garden Angels here at Cedarfield, which continues to grow each year. And our goals, as I've mentioned, we're completing the first phase of the garden beds and garden house. We continue to look for ways to learn more about our surroundings with our nature trails, our pond, and our gardens, which are all have the encompassing interactive to bring in our pollinators, our birds, to provide nesting sites, to provide food in any number of venues. They're not just pretty to look at, but they're interactive and they're educational for the residents as well. And I would like to finally touch on the our tree logo. I know you can't see that so much right now, but here is a picture of that. So our icon that was chose, the tree stands for strength, durability, and long lasting, but we also have our branch work and our leaves. As you know, with the other wellness dimensions, we have a beautiful leaf that that recognizes each one. Our tree holds all those leaves because we are collaborative, we partner, we all interact, and we're all important in how we move forward together. And Cultivate will do just that.
And we put a copy of a summary and the actual Cultivate plan in the minutes, so you'll all be able to read it. Which is off. Are you coming up here? Okay.
Yeah, I don't have to turn it off.
I have one announcement that I'd like to make related to the 25th anniversary. The committee chairs are going to be asked to help in this planning, and we will be contacting you shortly, requesting your assistance in certain areas of this. And I was asked to please help us make the 25th celebration good. So we're counting on your help. Normally our meetings aren't quite this long, but we hadn't met in so long, so we had a lot of catching up to do. And I want to personally thank the council members and residents for all the help and the support they have given me and our members during this epidemic. The President-elect and I have been able to take the concerns of council members and residents to management on a weekly basis. And will continue to do so as y'all bring issues to us. We also have been busy as officers writing thank you notes. We've written notes to some of the staff at Cedarfield and will continue to do so throughout this year. Our employees have gone far beyond their job descriptions, and we want to thank them. I've been receiving reports of residents' acts of kindness at this difficult time. Loneliness is a major problem, both in independent living and healthcare. And I'm thankful whenever I hear some ideas that will help. Many of us came here for socialization, and whatever you can do to give this to others is really appreciated. I ask each resident to please keep this in mind as we try to navigate our way through this virus. No act is too small when we show we care about each other. For the future, until we can meet again in person as a whole group, we plan to continue our meetings in this format each month. So any suggestions you would like to give me, I'll be very receptive to make these meetings informative and helpful. And in closing, I want to thank each of you here and those watching on TV for attending our meeting, and the meeting is now adjourned.